This is Calicat, the Calicatster, and this is a review of episode 5 of Strange New Worlds. Yeah, it's been just a few days since Fanime are posting it now. You can see the whole thing, the slide videos. There is a movie version with audio from it, but the movie version of Fanime is yeah, we had to strip out almost all of it. So the movie version, yeah. So anyway, so. Yeah. So watch the version that has the commentary over the audio, because some of the sketches, you can watch them both, but watch the other one too, which has the commentary tracks, because then you can get the full experience. Anyway, so yeah. And some of the sketches were drowned out by ambient noise, and in the commentary, I go over it again during, just so you know. Also, the creepypasta one will be airing on the show. The Creepypasta 2. Anyway, back to, I guess this is a commercial, sort of, for that. But yeah, you're watching the channel, so, you know. Yeah, so Star Trek, yeah, mainly it was Star Trek this time. Strange New Worlds was called Spock Amok. And in it, they do one of the plot points is a body swap. But unlike Wonder Woman 1984, where they thought it would be funny for a stranger to be body swapped, DC movie, and not explain it to him afterward that that's what happened, because it's her wish to have her dead boyfriend back. Unlike that, Spock and T'Pring are on the ship, and well, Spock first has a nightmare about his human side fighting his Vulcan side. And they do a wonderful using some of the audio from the original Star Trek Amok time. Yeah, so that was nice. And some of the kind of look like the sets. They're close. Yeah. But there's a negotiation with the Fungolians, which are remarkably similar to characters from way back in old Pine Hill era, junior high, because I was a junior higher and I didn't realize there was a country called Mongolia. It was Pine Hill. There was not a lot of social studies. And needless to say, I didn't realize there was a country. The aliens are the Mongolians. But yeah, they used the Cillian aliens in this one again. However, we have the Cillian commander and the Cillian con lady. They're both Cillians, pulling off the whole the Enterprise bingo, and in the story is one of the subplots. Also, the Doctor has a third subplot where she meets up with a guy who his first line out of his mouth is "You're hot." It's like, what is he, an 80s X-Gen person? No, he's supposed to be like 30-something, but it made him an 80s X-Gen something. It's like, nobody says that. If they say that, they're not getting laid. And he didn't, of course. and we have, of course, the rather aggressive butch lady who's her friend, the Doctor's lady's friend. We have the Doctor in Bingo wearing a funny fishing hat, very similar to the fishing hat from the Calicat show, of course. So he's wearing the Calicat show. It's a little small on him. They should have got a slightly bigger one. Yeah, that's not the right size. There's a lot of stuff going on in this episode. I can't say that it didn't work. It did. It's almost like a two-parter that they scrushed into like 50 minutes. Enterprise Bingo is not Enterprise Bingo, though. Nobody plays bingo anymore. That's not cool. Not even on Star Cruiser at Disney World. They forced them to play bingo over there on that thing. But yeah, it's not bingo. They're not playing bingo. They're playing a scavenger hunt. I don't know why they didn't call it Enterprise Scavenger Hunt. They're doing a phaser gag. They're doing out on the hull, signing the scar on the hull. I guess they have a shield up. Explain that at one point. They're out on the hull. I guess there's an air shield. I didn't think they had that, but somehow they're out there. The yeah, if they're signing it with chalk, yeah. So they implied that the ship is actually much older than the 2260s Enterprise. It would be about 20 years old at that point. In the other timeline, it was 2045 when it was commissioned, not 2258, the rebuilt one from the Abrams movie. That would be wrong. It wasn't later. This one would this is closer to the original, but not exactly. And then there's Star Trek 6, where they say the Enterprise is 20 years old, as of Star Trek 3, so the Enterprise was 20 years old. But he was referring to the refit, that Star Trek the Motion Picture took place 20 years earlier. It didn't. It was 16 years earlier, but he was rounding up. So, in 2272 or 3. Yeah, he's 16, 17 years later. So he was rounding up. 18, 20 years. Completely rebuilt as of 2272, and it's 2372, 2385, when Star Trek 4 takes place. Star Trek 3 takes place, I should say. The ship should be 17 or 18, but he was rounding up. Rebuilt Enterprise from that. I'm sure they're not paying attention to that, though. They're just doing their own thing. Because it is a separate timeline. It's not the original timeline. It can't be. They do introduce T'Pring and all that other stuff. They do keep that. Spock and T'Pring swap bodies by accident during a mind meld, hand mind meld, swap Katras. That can be done on Vulcans. It's not like the Wonder Woman movie where she just random stranger becomes like her dead boyfriend somehow. They don't explain how that would work. And then he's zapped back after she forced herself upon her. Wonder Woman in that movie was kind of an ass. She was evil. She was acting evil and selfish. So, yeah. It completely destroys her character. But no, the director was like, ah. Anyway, so the Star Trek, in this case, they were both consenting to being swapped. They didn't intend to do that, but they were swapped. So they could be put back later with probes and fish oil and have a screaming scene. Probes and fish oil on their heads. Magic or the mind. It's also mentioned. There's a lot of quirky little things going on in this that they have to do a negotiation, even though one of them is the wrong body. Spock is in the wrong body and Ring's in the wrong body. If you're gonna do that gag, and that gag was done in a Silly Trek episode. It's actually very forward and progressive. You're basically saying the male character gets to be like the female, and the female character gets to be like the male. Ooh, it's just not even subtle there. They just went there. Also, they imply that their chapel could shag the chick with the butch haircut, but maybe not though. Maybe they're just curious. Bi-curious is cool. They're bi-curious. So you have we have. A Star Trek story that isn't altogether. It was good. It was the camaraderie is different. Pike uses a reverse psychology at the end to trick the aliens into joining the Federation, which wouldn't really work, but maybe they're going to anyway. How did they get the flag? That doesn't make sense. But we'll just forgive the visual silliness they had to achieve with to do that. If it was a solar sail ship, that the flag would actually mess up the solar sail's ability to act as a solar sail. And it would only be in an atmosphere. So. And it's not clear where Starbase 1 actually is. I'm assuming it's not supposed to be Earth. It's not in the solar system. It would be probably... I'm going to guess that Starbase 1 would probably be Alpha Centauri. So I'm going to guess that and say that that's where they are. They're in the Centauri system, which is cool. And that would be a reference to Canary Space, where they did a lot of stuff in the Centauri system. With aliens. Not to mention the Canary Space predicting the planet in orbit of Proxima Centauri 15 years ago or more. Planet. Before they found it. Yeah, and that would be tidally locked and hot there. Yeah, because it's a red dwarf. Proxima's a red dwarf. The other two stars are sun-like and slightly smaller, so they would be habitable planets going around it. All they have to do is go and look for their Earth-like planet over there. So we have yeah, aliens. Yeah, the Rongolians, I guess they were. Their makeup is kind of stripy, like tigers or something, but they don't have tiger ears. And they're, yeah, Rongolians. They don't look like the Cillian characters. Early Silly Trek. They don't look like them. Yeah. Yeah. Early Calcat was not attempting to be racist. He just didn't know the difference because he was in junior high and wasn't told. So he wasn't trying to be like. I was probably trying to insult people who are mentally unstable. Is what I was doing, which has a similar name, Mongoloid, and assuming that that's an old insulting expression for. No, there was nobody like that at Pine Hill, really, but we were probably making fun of someone in the class for being silly, basically. Not that we weren't silly ourselves, but at least not that crazy. Yeah, it was, and I just didn't know the difference. So, people use names for everything, yeah. But yeah, I was not intending to actually insult other races and stuff at all. I was just being, or other special people or anything. Certainly this episode teaches tolerance and whatever, so certainly. Yeah, it wasn't a bingo. They should have called it Enterprise Scavenger Hunt. It was a scavenger hunt. Go look for things on the ship, do things at the transporter, phaser things, scavenger hunt. Yeah. And the pranks kind of don't work, though. It doesn't seem like they would. In interrogation, they interrogate the one ensign, but not the other one. The blue alien. So technically, they reverse discriminate. They interrogate the human a lot, but then the alien they don't really. They have a bias. The alien gets away with it. So there's a little bit of the. So if you want to read too much into it, the right wingers can say like, "See, they let the blue one get away with it." Ah, it's like no, that's not what they were doing. I think they were making fun of it. T'Pring, and Spock apparently can shag T'Pring as they're betrothed, but not yet officially married. But yes, he does smack. She punches out the guy she's supposed to see for about the deal. Supposed to arrest the Vulcan. That would beg the question: how can you have a criminal Vulcan? I know there was a joke about that in Deep Space Nine, where there was a Vulcan gunrunner, and she was like, "Oh, it's logical to be a gunrunner." It technically isn't. That was technically silly, that episode, to do that in there. How's she a gun runner? She'd be a Romulan then. Because if they're totally adhere to logic, they wouldn't lie in the same way, like they mentioned in the story. And they wouldn't do crime because they would realize it isn't logical to do something based on emotional whims and need for something. If they were truly logical, the Vulcans would not do anything that's associated with stirring the pot, so to speak, or breaking the rules. They wouldn't break the rules. They would be Vulcans. And although that fun scene in Star Trek 2009 where Spock tells the Science Academy off, tells the Science Academy off, wouldn't actually happen. It was funny in the movie, but like, live long and prosper. Technically, he wouldn't do that, but he's half human. No, he wouldn't have done that. There tended to be, although this new show would make it as if they did a feature film, Strange New Worlds, just kind of did use the sets and the ship and stuff, I think it would probably do well. I have suggested that. Keep giving away plot points on there. on that Trek car Yard's website. Yeah, they're gonna do this or do that and whatever. But yeah, I'm not giving away anything that they didn't already say somewhere. So yeah, they filmed this show near the same place where they filmed Discovery, so it's all in Canada, as opposed to Picard, which is filmed out here, California. Yeah, and that's kind of the reason that in Picard's show, the Data guy is able to get back to the rocket site from the winery. They forgot that it was in France, supposedly, because they filmed it in Napa. Yeah, he could drive like for 3 hours and get back to LA from Napa if he went really fast. But yeah, yeah, but not France in 2024. Only 2 years from now. It would take him 16 hours and he would be late getting to the rocket site. So in that story, that was a little off. So yeah, because they filmed it at a winery in Napa, like up the road from here. About 2 hours from here, hour and a half here from freeway. But then you go down to Los Angeles. That's 4 hours to LA. 6 hours. You could have made it in 6 hours by car. But yeah, if that was Napa and not France. If you got on a plane in, say, San Francisco, go to LA in an hour, which is probably what he did. So they needed to realize where they were, I guess. They weren't paying attention. If I'd been in the writer's room, I would have been all, wait a minute, he's in France, how to get back? Anyway, that's the Picard show. But yeah, so that was my roundabout review of this thing, except for the Mongolians and the story. It's they've been called the Longolians, but that's a little weird too. Reverse psychology would work on Cillians, of course. Yes.